more clients in less time. And there's also less, I call it wear and tear, but it's not a car. We're not talking about a car necessarily, but there's less wear and tear on the coach, really. Because like we talked about, you're facilitating, right? You're not one-to-one coaching everybody in a group. You're facilitating them.
Hey, does your business coach clients one-on-one or in a group setting? Meet Allison Nelson, a business strategist who says that group coaching can be a powerful experience for your clients and a profitable opportunity for every entrepreneur in any industry. Today, we're talking about adding or improving your group coaching offering to grow and develop your small business. Welcome to the 15-ish minute coffee chat, live stream and podcast with Anna and Selena, 10 seasons of helping entrepreneurs and small business owners build more profitable businesses.
Yay! Quite a mouthful, isn't it, for a Tuesday morning?
I'm like, yeah, we were joking with Allison that Anna and I obviously we're located in Texas, so we're in a freak Texas storm right now. So we don't know how today's gonna go, guys. It could just be the Allison show because she's gonna have the most stable internet of all of us today. So she's pretty cool. I think you'll like it if me and Anna drop off.
Yeah. I know she could run this show.
She totally could. I mean, she has her own podcast, so I think she knows how to do this, right?
That's right.
Hey, friend, how are you? What's going on?
I'm wonderful. It's so good to see you here on our 15-ish minute coffee chat show. If you're listening and watching right now, just drop into the comments, like, where are you watching us from? Look, Angela.
Good morning. Angela, are you home with the kids because our schools got shut down,
Yeah, drop where you're joining us from. And if you have any questions today as we're speaking with Allison, make sure and drop them in the comments. We love the interactive nature of StreamYard, the ability that allows us during our live stream program. So we do have a question for you, though, everyone. Yeah. Our very first question of the day, which is, does your business coach clients one-on-one or in a group setting?
Yeah.
Are you doing both, actually, right?
Yeah. I've been in both. I'm just going to answer this. Not that you're asking me, but I'm curious what everybody else is saying. I've been in both. And actually, I really do like both. But I like the group setting. I think it kind of helped me. Like, sometimes when you go into a singular you and sometimes you feel like, am I asking the right question or am I in the right space? And when you're around other people, I don't know. I feel inspired. I get something from others. And as I was listening to one of Allison's podcasts, we're just talking about the safety net anyway. But yes, Anna, how about you?
Well, I also have done both, but right now in my business, I only do one-on-one consulting, and I'm curious to see what Allison says today, to see if there's a way that I can implement group coaching into what I'm currently doing and make it valuable for my clients. So I am very, very excited about today's conversation.
Same.
We should bring her. Well, let's read her bio. Let's read her bio and then bring her up. What do you think?
All right. Okay. Here's a little bit about Allison, guys.
Allison Nelson is a business coach for solopreneurs who want to grow their online business and fast track the freedom without the BS. She is a mama, marketing expert, counselor, and educator, and weaves all of her experience into her business so that her clients are taking massive action toward growing their online business and taking care of their family. All right.
So good. Let's bring her up. I don't know why. Hi. I know. Good morning, Allison.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me. You guys have been so sweet already. I can't even imagine. It's going to be so fun.
It is going to be fun, right? We're going to slay this today. I don't know. I'm just saying words that are going to embarrass my teenager right now. So, Okay. Well, welcome to the show. And why don't we just quickly take our coffee cup selfie with you, if you don't mind? I'm in Seoul, Korea. Ooh, I love that tits up. Oh my gosh. If Angela is still watching, she would love that. Okay. Yes. On 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Okay, we're gonna just jump in because me and Anna are very bad at keeping it tight in the time. So we're gonna just start right now, Allison, because if we start just ad-libbing questions, it's going to be an hour and you're going to be like, I have things to do today, ladies.
I just want to say that I am very good at keeping on time. It's Selena that just jabbers on. It's totally me. I am always the culprit because I have like 400 extra questions I want to throw out there.
I was like, what universe am I in?
This is the fun part too. It's fun to, connect and talk, and when, you're making it live so everybody else can benefit from it, be a fly on the wall. It's fun. It's what we get to do. It's great.
No, I like Anna. I'm excited. We're going to put you right here and we're going to throw I'm excited. So go ahead, Anna, ask that first question.
This is our first question. Let's talk about group coaching. Why is it valuable to small business clients?
Well, the thing about group coaching, and actually the thing about, everything we do, we work with adults, right? All our clients are adults, and that means that they're adult learners. And there is a whole theory around adult learning that sometimes we don't pay attention to because we think that when it comes to the education and the way that we have to teach as though we're in a classroom with kids. That's actually not true. We actually have to teach towards adult learning, and adult learning suggests a lot of things. The theory suggests a lot of things, but one of the biggest things it suggests is that adults learn from and bring in the experience that they already have from being alive for however many years that they've been alive, right? And so they're learning out of those experiences. And when you can apply and grow and change by using that knowledge that we've already collected, group coaching provides the opportunities for the other adults to also see that that's happening. It also allows them to do it. It gives them permission to do it. I think a lot of times we feel like when we're in a new program and we're adults, we're beginners, and none of us wants to feel that way. We don't want to feel like beginners, right? We don't want to feel like we don't know something, but we get that permission from other people. And so group coaching being valuable to small business, first of all, it's also really valuable to the coach. It takes a lot of the pressure off of you because everything that your clients are going to learn and how they can apply and then come back and go back to the drawing table, watching other people doing the same thing, that can't be really taught in a module or a worksheet that you might create yourself. So it does take a lot of the pressure off the facilitator or the coach. Adults don't want to feel like beginners, again, like I said. So if they feel a kinship among the group members, if they find their role within the group, that value and the results they'll get from that will just increase throughout time. And they'll also be lifelong learners instead of just learners with you for the time that they're with you, and then that's it.
Okay, so that makes so much sense. So let me ask you this question then. See, this is where the chitter chatter happens because I've got like 100 questions just. But my one big question is, the thing that really stuck out to me is you talk about the difference between children learners, adult learners, right? Yes. So when you are group coaching, you really have to recognize that learned experience that the people in your group already have. Yes. So can you just drop like one or two tips, like if you're going to do this kind of group coaching, like what you really have to be aware of as the group coach so that you're not making those people in your session feel less than or beginner like, or those feelings you were talking about that would turn them away from that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually think it starts in onboarding. I think learning about your client and where they come from is really helpful because you can sort of start to, if you don't want to do accountability partners, I don't technically love that phrase, but you can start to see connections with the people in the group and how they can help each other. And that's facilitation. So a lot of times we think we need to show up and coach and talk the whole time. And unfortunately, that's just controlling the room. And you actually don't want control of the room as a facilitator. You want other people to pick those roles of leaders, followers, even some of the roles that are not helpful. And have your clients figure out how to manage that themselves. Of course, you can step in. You are facilitating, right? You're not just sitting there doing nothing. But I think a lot of times people they think they have to coach an entire one-to-one each person in a group, and you just don't have to do that. I think that's why a lot of group programs either don't work out well or people just walk away from them, go back to one-to-one because they're not getting they're one-to-one coaching everybody in a group setting. That just doesn't work.
Yeah, that's exhausting, right? I mean, that can be.
Yeah. Yes.
I loved what you just said, Allison. I don't mean to interrupt because I have a business coach and we have a mastermind group actually every Tuesday. So after the show, I'm excited. But she does exactly what you're saying, and I love it. And there's a kinship amongst all of us in the group that sometimes we're talking to each other and helping each other. Like you said, she's facilitating relationships, and never once does anybody feel like they are less than in the group. And I just love, we're excited we're having her on the show, but I love what you're saying because that is we are adults. We have learned experiences that should not be, not honored or whichever, like you said, right? So,
yeah. We're not all starting from the same place,
right?
Of beginner, and we need, and that can be difficult. That's definitely a challenge for the coach, but it needs to be honored. And
yeah.
I can learn so much from somebody else who has had a different life experience than me versus the coach droning on. I mean, like, I don't know if you guys ever did like a lecture class in college or anything like that, but some of my bigger psychology classes, there were like 200 people in the class or something. That's a lecture hall. Like, we don't want our group coaching programs to be like that. Yeah. We don't want them to be a lecture hall, and so really the magic is in the group. And it's really everybody facing each other instead of facing, you. Honestly.
Yeah.
So question number 2 for you, sub question number 2, for anyone who's listening in our audience right now that maybe hasn't participated in a group coaching type session, but are considering doing this kind of thing, like what are some facilitation styles then that generate that mutual conversation, that group learning experience? Like, could you just give us a couple of examples of how you as a group coach will facilitate that?
Sure. Yeah. So one of the biggest things, which is so hard to do, is silence. Really hard to do, like really hard. And letting other people get the chance and the opportunity to chime in and talk. And also to take in information that's just been given out by someone else. That's very hard to do. Active listening, things like that are normal coaching styles and normal coaching tools are also really helpful. But I think I like to. Last night I had my mastermind too, and one of my clients said something, and she left it dead in the air, and I said, who wants to comment on that? And so it's just, and someone commented and complimented her. And then another person complimented someone out of thin air because there was leadership there already of complimenting. Oh, that's allowed? Oh, okay. And so you're kind of allowing that sort of thing to happen. And so I think facilitation is a lot of leadership and a lot of walking the walk. So I would say that the biggest thing, silence, which is very hard to do, but also, creating some questions that you would want other people to take on as well. So when I ask that question, I know next week they're going to, use that question towards each other, because me as the leader, they see that I'm the leader, and they know that they learned that facilitation question, and they can ask each other that. So I think it's a lot of leadership, walking the walk. What would you want someone to ask you? And also letting the group settle and sit and see who comes up with something. It's really important.
I have, like, this just as like a side question, right? And I would imagine that, like, as a facilitator too, sometimes if someone is not good in the group, that can kind of like, so how do you, I mean, they shouldn't make it past the vetting, but sometimes they'll make it to the vetting because they're great singularly, right?
Absolutely. Yes, and sometimes people, like, they definitely position themselves as a certain way. That happens, right? We always want to put our best foot forward.
Yes.
And sometimes people do have great intentions, but things happen in their lives while they're in the program, and it sort of breaks them down a little bit. So I think the biggest thing that a lot of people don't do, and I have a whole episode on it, is setting expectations. And you might likely have expectations like a contract or something like that as the coach, but involving your group clients in creating and writing expectations for the group is really helpful, because then when someone decides to be, there's a role called help rejecting complainer, where someone will say I can't get that work done because I don't have Wi-Fi, like it's really spotty in my house. And then so a group member might suggest, oh, well, why don't you go to the library? Like the library has free Wi-Fi. And they're like, no, I can't do that. My car runs out of gas and it's really bad. Like, oh, well, okay, how about you ask somebody to bring you a laptop? Oh, no, I could never ask someone to. So they want help, but they're rejecting help. They want to complain. And so that's a negative role to be in. But if we all wrote norms together or expectations together, then everybody, and not just me as the coach, everybody can say, hey, you're violating rule number 3. If you didn't show up to this call, you're violating rule number 5.
Yeah.
If you don't show up to this call, I don't get the full experience that I'm supposed to get. And neither do you. No one did. So you're kind of leveling up everybody by teaching them, you need to hold yourself to these standards, but we're holding everybody else to these standards too. And so writing your own expectations, sure, as a coach, you don't want people contacting you at midnight, things like that. But also writing expectations as a group. Really helpful.
I love that. I love this conversation because honestly, it's twofold. Like we always say, right? Either you want to be part of a group coaching and Allison is telling you how it should be in your group, or you are a business genius in what you do and you want to add that to your services. Right. I think this is like such a great conversation. I'm like, yes. And I'm imagining a bunch of like friends that we know, Anna and I, that could easily run their own group coaching services.
Yes. Thinking the exact same thing, Selena. In fact, so we do have a question from our live audience. So what happens when the client knows more than the coach?
About the
good
topic?
one, John.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that should have been done in vetting. I would think that should have been taken care of in vetting if they had already known. I wonder what the motivation of the person who joined, knowing that they know more than the coach, what that motivation was, number 1. But number 2, I would have a private conversation with the coach and see where your skills actually are best met in the group. So you might know more about the topic, but as we all know, knowledge is really not important anymore. Unfortunately, there's AI, I can Google everything. I don't need to memorize anything anymore. It's about how you apply and how you learn and the skill by actually doing and mentoring and bringing back. So you might even want to talk to the coach about, hey, can I be sort of a co-mentor in this group? You're probably a leader, which is great. If you feel like you know more, you might sort of rise to that occasion. I would love to see what that looks like in a group setting where someone takes that lead and helps others to bring them up too. I mean, I think the coach should be happy that there's a leader in the group, right? I
feel like this is one of those situations where you buy a workshop thinking you're going to learn something new and then you're like disappointed because everything that's in the content is stuff that you already kind of have covered and you don't feel like you gained much out of it, right?
Right.
So I love the idea of if you find yourself in that situation in a group coach setting, then asking for permission to have that next level role. And hopefully the group coach would be open for it, first of all. But second of all, I almost feel like at that point, you could just be very honest with the coach too and just say, I don't feel like I'm getting a lot out of this. Or the coach is going to help you identify exactly what you were just talking about, which is, you know a lot, but how much do you actually implement in your business? How active are you actually doing these things, right?
Right. Yeah, you really have to go back to the motivation and the goal of why are you here kind of thing. And yeah, I might even really just have a conversation. Now you can become a leader without having a conversation with the coach, obviously, in the group setting. But yeah, if you're upset and you're unhappy and you're not showing up for things, it's time for a conversation with the coach.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so
I don't know. I'm pumped for my today's mastermind group. I'm going to talk about this. They're going to talk about wins. I'm going to say, I just feel so good today because I know that I'm you know what I mean? And she's just a wonderful, wonderful, she sent me a DM in my Instagram yesterday. She just pumps me up and she's busy. So I just, all the things I'm really happy. I'm happy with my part of it.
Well, now you know it's, and now you're going to look through it with different eyes. Unfortunately, I'm glad it's fortunate for you.
Yeah.
Well, I think in this, Selena's like outlining some of the reasons why her coach is so good at what she does, right?
Mhm.
She makes a personal connection.
Right.
Selena feels truly cared about in that group coaching session. She feels like she's learning a lot. She feels a kinship with the other people in the group. I mean, you just basically are saying all those tips that Allison was just giving us. You're saying you're experiencing that, which is why your group coaching is so successful in that sense, right?
Yeah.
So, okay. So, Allison, we're going to move to question number 2. So now that we've
I totally thought we did number 2. I was like, wow, this is going to be a short show. This is what we talked about, guys. Come on, Anna. Let's get this.
I know. So, okay. So we talked about what group coaching maybe should look like, what it is, how you can implement it.
Right.
But let's ask this question next. How can it make your small business more profitable? So let's talk about the flip side. Why do you want to implement it? What's your ROI?
Right.
Why are we doing this?
Right. Well, the obvious answer, obviously, right, is like more clients in less time. So yes, it's a lower price point, but there's more clients in less time. And there's also less, I call it wear and tear, but it's not a car. We're not talking about a car necessarily, but there's less wear and tear on the coach, really, because like we talked about, you're facilitating, right? You're not one-to-one coaching everybody in a group. You're facilitating them. When more clients get results, which they will, because they will of all the reasons that we've been talking about, right? So when these clients get more results, you're going to yield repeat buyers. There's nothing wrong with having a one-to-one program or any other kind of program that they can move up to. And depending on what your group coaching program is like, if you can take people again, if they can join another cohort, that plus it will expand your target market because your expertise is only going to get stronger. A lot of people think that like, oh, the beautiful marketing is the ticket to selling a group coaching program. It's actually what happens on the inside that sells the program, because what happens on the inside can be spoken about in the marketing. And then not only is it true, it shows off your expertise and you are getting results. You're getting stronger with all of these results behind you. And then, of course, you can continue to raise your rates at a typical, clip, whatever that is like for you. Not just raise the rates because everybody else is doing it or because it's a new year. You're actually raising the rates because your results are at like 90% when they were at 80% the last time you did it. You can raise your rates. You can come up with new cohorts. And you know how to facilitate a group program. Really anything is possible. And you're also really protecting yourself as the coach. Being able to learn yourself, being able to participate in group programs or masterminds like Selena does yourself, being able to kind of pour into yourself, learn more. To me, it makes the most sense, honestly. It's a better bang for your buck sort of thing. And not in like a discount store kind of way, but like really like you are actually spending your time doing what you want to do.
Yeah.
And you're making the money that you would have made without the wear and tear and the exhaustion and the burnout.
Okay, sub question. Do you need to have some form of certification to say you were a coach? Like, so if we say, hey, we have group coaching, like what, that's not, I know we didn't say that we are going to ask that question, but I was just curious because I feel inspired. I know exactly something that Anna and I could do in that realm, but what would we need to do in order to really offer that?
Yeah, I mean, as you probably know, in the online space, there is no regulation. So you can just call yourself whatever you want. But so it's sort of personal preference. I don't have a coaching certification, but I have a counseling degree and I have education background. So I have a lot of experience, not only in teaching adults and creating programs for them, but actually I understand what the counseling relationship is like. And then I have my own group program that I ran for 2 years, 95% results, all that stuff. So 98% attendance on the calls, so I've got that experience to back me up. I am actually looking into getting a specific group coaching certification, which is really exciting. But I think that you don't really need it. I would be careful about what you call yourself. Adult learning theory is very heavy on mentorship. I might start with that, calling yourself a mentor. I think that allows for people to feel like, okay, it's almost a Karate Kid sort of feeling. I'm going to be, there's a teacher, but also I get to practice and learn and apply and figure it out. And there's other people doing the same thing. But we've got somebody, they're our mentor. They're not our teacher. They're not our boss. They're our mentor. So I'm going to say that's a nice way to kind of transition yourself into it when you don't feel like you have a certification. However, I mean, you ladies, if you're teaching about what you do, you have the experience in what you do, you're an expert. Sorry. Yeah. You've been paid for it. You're professional. No,
that totally makes sense. I really am inspired by this. And I think, I have so many ideas. Anna, where's your mind at?
So you said something in two different ones of your answers that I want to just touch on. You talk about the success rate of your coaching group. So this is my question. What are the KPIs that you're tracking in your group to determine that kind of success? Like when you are a coach, what is it? You said attendance, which I think is a good one. But what other things can you track? Because it's really based on individual desire to implement and individual, so are you looking at the motivation and what they're actually doing, or is it something internal?
Yeah. So the result of the group program was getting the women to 4-figure monthly income. So that was something I tracked. And so that's really where most of that 95% comes from. But they also rate themselves. A lot of adult learning theory is about self-assessment before I assess you. I can have an idea of like on a scale from 1 to 5 where you're at with like knowing your ideal client, let's say, or something, one of the things that I taught. But I need to know where you're at. So they would self-assess at the beginning of every module. Of course, obviously doing the modules and pulling that data is helpful as well. But they would assess that. We would have 1-to-1 monthly calls so that I knew that they were actually doing it and assessing themselves, and I knew what the assessment was. And then I could provide my own feedback based on what I saw. Obviously, because they were business owners, I got to see what they were writing on Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff, right? How much they were showing up. And so we could have those honest conversations. It wasn't necessarily a part of like, you showed up on Instagram 3 times this week. Thank you. It was just more like I could have honest conversations with them about like, yeah, you showed up 3 times. Don't tell me you showed up 5, you showed up 3. And so those were some of the metrics that I used. Obviously, yes, attendance was helpful. I liked knowing, okay, did attendance matter in terms of were they going to get to the goal, whether they attended the group program, the group calls or not. I liked knowing that information. And if they attended the group calls, they absolutely hit the result.
Yes. Oh, I'm going to just come in and say, when I don't join the call, I know I don't. When I am in the call with them and I leave, there's so much action that I take and I'm so invigorated. So I totally agree with what you say about if they do attend, I think that, you know what I mean, there is more motivation to implement based on the goal that they set with you, right? In the beginning, hey, this is my goal. I want to hit this. And I don't know. And I know as just full transparency, right? If you're not honest with yourself and say, I did 7, but you only did 3, you're only hurting yourself in the goal of what you want to set for your business. Because at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, and when you're facilitating too, then you're actually hurting the other people as well.
Right.
Because like if you got a client and you said you booked and that was the goal, right? That's what everybody's working towards. And you said that you showed up 7 times. So then someone else can be like, well, I have to show up 7 times. When you only showed up 3, like, let's be real. Like, don't lie to us. Like, tell us like what actually happened. So we were always doing that in my program. We were always like, great, you got a client. How'd you do it? Then what happened? Then what happened? And I made them break down the process. Especially because we all know process is way more important than the results. I was happy for them. They got the client, we celebrated, but I need you to break down this process so other people can see, you know, at what point during the launch did your mindset kind of go sideways? At what point, and how did you bring it back and all of this stuff?
I love that. I love that you incorporate all of that into part of your group coaching experience so that and again, this is you setting expectations right from the start, right? As the coach, which is why people join things like this, because they don't want the burden of having to set their own expectations and come up with their own goal set. I mean, they still do it in their own way within the group, but you give them a framework, it sounds like, a framework to work within that makes it easier and then having there's a reason why we have coffee chats and go meet people at Starbucks or the local Barnes and Noble and sit down and want to co-work together, even if we're not working on the same thing, right? There's a reason we want that interaction and
Absolutely.
that brainstorming.
Yeah.
So
not to cut you off, I'm sorry.
Yep.
I think a lot of times people join programs and like, great, I'm in the room. Now, of course it's going to happen, right? And maybe even the marketing suggested that. And that's unfortunate so I think when you do the expectations and you set those goals, you help those people set those goals. It's not just, oh, I thought I was going to be a wallflower for 6 months and just like get from osmosis, like be able to get the information. No. You're an active participant because again, if you are a wallflower, if you are just trying to be in the room, you're not helping anybody else in the room. And that's what this is all about. We're not just about ourselves. We're out for the entire group. We want the whole group to succeed.
Yeah. I know we're kind of at our time, but just one last thought I want to throw out there is just that the marketing and what you say about your group coaching is so important, because what you're saying right now is if you don't say the right things when you sell your coaching, you're doing a huge disservice to everyone involved, right? If people are expecting to be able to come and sit and be the wallflower and not have to do anything, and you haven't outlined that there will be weekly assignments and this and that they're going to have to be participating in, the expectations aren't clear from the start, then there's an investment issue that's going to start happening. Oh, I didn't have time for all this. Oh, I can't do this. Oh, this is so, it becomes a burden instead of that joyful, like exciting experience that you could have of growth and scaling and success that we're talking about. So that's just my last little thought as far as like anybody considering this, really look at your messaging that's going out there.
Yes, please.
No, Allison, this has been so good. And I think, it's so funny how when you talk, not funny, but like when you talk with others, you go in with a different, like with a mindset or a thought, and then you talk with them and then you're like, it's like another door is open to some realizations, right? So I'm so glad we had you on, and I'm so glad you answered our 59,000 questions and not just the 2 that we had sent over.
We can turn this into lunch.
Fine. We'll DoorDash you some dinner. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so like when we continue on. So, okay. So I guess we'll move on to our toolkit, which is still about Allison, guys. So don't worry. Let's see here. And we're going to go like this. And, so here's the thing, right? Anna and I always, when we're researching our guest, we love to share something about what they have. And we want you to continue and put this in your kind of toolkit, which is very easy. It's Allison's podcast. And this particular episode is what Anna and I were like, yeah, we liked this one. And also when we were like stalking her Instagram, we were like, oh yeah, we really liked the 5 fears. So Allison, I'll let maybe share one fear, and then they need to go and find your episode to listen to the other 4.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh gosh, when I recorded this, that was a long time ago. Let me think about it.
Boundaries. How about that?
Yes, boundaries. That's right, boundaries. Yeah. And just the idea we kind of touched on it before. The idea that like you're going to get this group of people and you don't know what to do with them. Mm-hmm. You don't have to know what to do with them. You don't have to control every second of this.
Yeah.
It's about the other people, and I think at first it's a little sticky. And so people are like, oh, I really don't like that. But it's up to you as a leader to get through that sticky time. And remember, everybody else is kind of feeling that stickiness too. So I think creating those boundaries, not one-to-one coaching every single one of these people, is going to keep your group coaching program alive. And honestly, if you try to one-to-one coach everyone, not only does it lead up to burnout for you, but it's just not sustainable. And you're not going to give everybody the same experience. It's just not possible. It's not possible. So.
I love it. So we have today's episode info all on our website. Anna's popped it in every comment that you can imagine. So go over there, grab the links to Allison's podcast, go listen to that episode. She's obviously has more recent ones up there, but this is just one we fell on. And I like it. Soloprenuer AF. Like me and Anna were like AFing everything. Like after we did this, we're like, you know what I mean? So
I love it.
Do it.
Yes, I'm sneaking it in there.
Yes. Oh my gosh. All right, Anna, we'll take this part.
Yeah. Okay. So, wait, hold on just a second. I'm
Join the
so
combo,
sorry.
Anna. Join the combo.
Yes. So, Allison, we want people to be able to find you and connect with you, ask more questions, utilize your services, what you offer. So, if you can just let them know, like, the best way to find you, we've kind of got the links here, and this, of course, will be in that blog post that we have as well. So, you can always connect with Allison. But feel free to tell them what the best way is.
Yeah, absolutely. So my website, my podcast, I show up on every week. So that's a good one to go to. We're on Google, Apple, Spotify, and Stitcher. So you can go to any of those platforms, and the show notes have a little special gift. You can do a 20-minute call about your group program or the group program that's in your dreams or something like that. If you have any questions, I do a free 20-minute call about. It's called Get Your Group On.
I love that so much.
Yeah, so you can get the links to do that. And Instagram, I show up pretty regularly. I do have a Facebook group, so you can, which is an insiders podcast group, so you can go. But all the show notes for every episode have all that information.
I love it. I just joined your Facebook group. I mean, I'm excited. I joined it last week, but you know what I mean. I was like,
I appreciate it.
The super secret squirrel group. You have to have the right answers, guys, or you're not going in. You know?
That's right. Yeah.
And then, Anna, real fast, I just want to slide this in because I said we were going to, we had put a call out like when we wanted to invite guests, and we put it out to our past guests. And this is the one time I said we're going to slip her name in, and a previous guest and somebody that is close by it, Elaine Jardon. I like to just say it fancy, but we love Elaine, and we had like a full 5-minute conversation. So we're so grateful that Elaine had said, "Hey, Allison, go get on their show. They're fun." And so shout out to Elaine. We love you.
Thank you, Elaine.
Yeah. Seriously, Elaine, you helped us out because now, I mean, I thought this conversation was so good, and I think so valuable for anyone thinking about group coaching. Like you really laid it out. It was so good.
Look, me and Anna are already structuring Allison. We're like, hey, we're going to call Allison. We're going to say, lay out our program and say, what do you think?
Yep, we're going to do it. It's going to be great. I love it.
It's going to be awesome.
Okay, Anna, go ahead.
Okay, so today's tip jar: when working with an accountant and or a bookkeeper, you will be asked to provide banking, credit card, loan, and other types of statements on a monthly basis. This can get tedious, yes, but do not compromise the level of access to your funds by sharing login information. Did you know that many banks offer read, view only accounts you can set up for your accountant and bookkeeper? That is so good, Joanna. Yeah. Joanna Linares, a bookkeeping professional at Enumerista, has brought our tip jar today. If you weren't aware of that, instead of giving login information, you can do read and view only options. Yeah. So check with your bank. So that you don't have to be the one downloading the PDF and emailing it week after week.
Yes. Okay, we are at the end of our show, and we want to thank you, Allison, so much. But we're seriously, this has been such a great combo. This is Anna's part. I stumble if I try to say it, so you go ahead, Anna.
Selena's like, take the last 10 minutes of the show.
Yeah, I'm just going to sit here and move slides, push buttons. You know, that's my tech role.
Well, we want to thank everyone for joining us today. Allison, you especially, for giving us all of your wisdom on group coaching. Thank you so much. And for everyone that dropped in and listened or is catching the replay or listening to our podcast, we want to say thank you for being here with us today. As always, you can find us at annaandselena.com. We're on LinkedIn. We love to connect on LinkedIn. That's kind of our zone. We're also Instagram, Facebook, all that kind of stuff. So come and find us, send us a connection notice, and tell us that you saw us on the 15-ish minute coffee chat. Next week, our guest is Amanda Moncada Perkins. Now, Amanda is a founding attorney of her business. She talks about drafting negotiations. She talks about contracts. She's going to talk about legal stuff that I don't know enough about to even pretend like I do. That's why we have guests like Amanda that are going to join us. So if you have legal questions about your business, contract negotiations, that kind of stuff, make sure and tune in next week, next Tuesday, 10 a.m. Central on the 15-ish minute coffee chat.
Yes.
Yay!
So, that was like too much of my face in there. So
Wow.
sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I know, I'm like,
I was like, whoa, you can see that pimple that I didn't cover with makeup today when it went that close. All right, Allison, thank you again from Anna and I. We so appreciate this is such a great conversation. And yeah, we're excited to share with you what may come out of this combo in the year.
Absolutely.
All right, guys, we're out. Bye.